Hello YouTubers, welcome to my video on chestnut harvesting. I know it's not exactly rocket science, but a few little tips that I've learnt in the last few years of coming out here to my local woods. It's early November now and I've often picked in December, and it will vary year to year when the nuts drop obviously, and you have to keep coming back and checking every now and again. Probably something you can do on a Sunday morning walk or whatever. But yeah, I think I may have left it a bit late in December, so November is a good time. Definitely, check throughout the month of November. In terms of what you can collect, at the moment they are literally, the husks have just broken and rotted on the floor. I timed it perfectly this year, and you can literally just go around with your foot, sweeping side to side, and just go around picking them up. If they are still in the husks, they're pretty soft. If they are a bit tough, oh, there's a massive one there. If they're a bit tough, like the greener ones, that one's got nothing in it, but you just stamp on it. I mean, you learn these things yourself, pick it up as you go along. Don't need to teach you to suck eggs, do I? So look, that's the sort of size I'm getting, which is probably about 2/3 the size of a Chinese chestnut, the imported ones. Well, let's have a look at the tree, right? You identify them by the leaf shape. So obviously here are the leaves. They're obviously green earlier on, longish, sort of jagged edges, very tall trees, and each tree will tend to produce a certain size of nut. So you don't get a nut producing different size, a tree producing different size nuts. You tend to get one tree will produce all big nuts, or it will produce small ones. So once you've found your tree, just keep coming back to it, and year after year, you can keep harvesting lots of nuts. Of decent, show you a little comparison on the biggest ones I've got. So you want something like that for storage, and something like that for a sort of barbecue with your friends, have a sort of roasted chestnut and mulled wine evening or something like that. And the trick there is you put a score on, whenever you're cooking chestnuts, no matter how you do it, boil, bake, whatever, you put a score on them so they don't explode. You stab it with a knife crisscross, and my philosophy is get other people to do the work for you. So you've picked the thing, so you are doing some work. You put them on the barbecue, roast them, and then just give them to people like that, and they can peel them. When you're doing these ones, you're doing it yourself, you're getting a lot more nut out of the skin for the effort. So I would say pick any, minimum these size, any decent quality ones. Obviously you don't want to be picking these sorts of things, just a waste of time. Just a little note on the size of the actual husk. You see that one is quite small, and you probably look at that and think there's not much in it, but actually you often find that the other two have sort of been sacrificed for a much bigger nut. So don't discard even the smaller. Let's look in here. You see that is a fairly decent size, and it was in a really tiny husk. So yeah, another little tip. Just going to say a quick note about the gloves. Under here I have what you can see is a marigold washing up glove. Any kind of rubber glove will at least keep your hands dry, because the ground is wet and moist and cold, and your hands will freeze if you don't protect them from the wet. And then I've got these gloves on the outside to sort of protect me a little bit from the spikes, but the two together will do the job. If you don't have rubber gloves underneath, you're going to end up with quite sore fingers by the end of the day. So yeah, the quantity I would suggest you need is probably around, it depends how much you want to cook with them, but I will use them sort of twice a week, often in meals. So between a family you're going to eat quite a number. Looking at maybe 30 kilos would be a good amount, I think. I know it sounds a lot, but actually that little lot there is only 2 kilos, so you're only really talking about four full bags you know, that amount of chestnuts. Store them in a bin full of sand, and you know, that's sort of nice and compact out the way. Put them in the garage, keep them nice and cool, and that's not really going to take up much space. You just go and grab them as and when you need, but you know, it's entirely up to you. And so that amount there, let's say 2 kilos ish, that is probably taking me about 45 minutes. So you know, you work it out with a family of 4, so you come in here. I mean, on my own I can do it. I could probably pick 30 kilos in 2 days, but don't do what I did and come here at 12 o'clock, because as you can see in here, it's quite dark, you know. Even though the light probably stays till about 4, half 4 now, beginning of November, it probably gets too dark in here about 3 o'clock. So I've only actually given myself 3 hours. I would definitely recommend coming here at 8 o'clock in the morning. You know, get a full day in. If you did, let's see, what did I do yesterday? 3 hours, I picked about 13 kilos. So, you know, double that. And you're talking just a full day of picking one person. So yeah, it's not too difficult. Again, not being, you know, too fussy, I would dig even these ones out. I mean, ultimately you can sort of tell, you know, by squeezing the body if it's gone soft or damaged or mouldy. That feels as solid as anything. And in fact, having been out here for perhaps a few days, you know, it's going to be cool in there, and those will be your storage conditions anyway, so it's no problem at all. You know, and it seems a waste. You can pick these up out the grounds, no problem. Just give them a wash off when you get home, and that'll be fine. Nuts are fantastic in stews, but you know, you really need to get a bit more diversified than this closed-minded thinking we have today about certain foods can only do certain things. We put them in lasagnas, you know, pasta dishes, basically anything. You know, obviously they'll go well with a roast dinner. It's sort of endless, really, and you know, they've got a lot of vitamin C. They're like a sweet potato. That's basically what they are, like a little mini sweet potato. Lots of starch, lots of sugars, very healthy for you. So get out there and start harvesting.